Hello guys, welcome back to the channel. In this video I will be covering the water topic of the A-level biology curriculum. So let's begin. So looking at the water molecule structure first, so we all know that it has that oxygen bonded to two hydrogens. But there is a little more detail that we need to know about this. So the ONH are bonded in a covalent bond, so they are sharing the electrons between them. But you need to be aware that because that oxygen is a much bigger atom, it has much more electrons and protons, and the nucleus is much more positive. So the electrons in the covalent bond, they're not shared equally, so it won't be a half-half split, but rather because the oxygen has a more positive nucleus, it attracts those electrons more, so it's more like this. So what this does is because the oxygen has the electrons more closer to itself. So as we know, the electrons have a negative charge. So what this does to the oxygen is it gives it a partial negative charge, or we call it a delta negative charge. Now this is not the same as when we have ions and they get a permanent positive or negative charge. This is just a partial negative charge. It's not as big as those, the charge isn't as big as those and the charge on the ions. So because the oxygen has a partial negative charge, or the delta negative charge, this gives the hydrogen a delta positive charge, and the same with the other hydrogen, because the double bond is formed on the other side as well, and it would be the same. The oxygen atom would be attracting the electrons more towards itself because it has that more positive nucleus. So now what this does is, because it has that partial positive and negative charge, we call water a polar molecule. So this is polar because the charges are not equal across the H2O molecule. So because the charges aren't equal across the molecule, what this can do, so another H2O molecule can come across. So we have that partial positive charge there, and on another H2O molecule we'll have a partial negative charge, delta positive, delta negative, and they form a bond between them, and this is called a hydrogen bond. So now looking at the properties of water, water is a metabolite, so it's used in many metabolic reactions such as the hydrolysis reaction and condensation reaction, and it's an important solvent as it's polar and it speeds up the metabolic reaction. So when we're talking about solvent, it basically dissolves substances in it. So for example, when we have that the NaCl salt, so what it means by dissolving is the H2O molecule basically forms a bond with the NaCl. So Na being positive, so what happens is the negative part of the H2O molecule, so the oxygen, would form a bond with the positive part of NaCl, which is Na, and it'd be the other way around for Cl minus. So Cl minus has a negative charge, so the positive part of the H2O molecule, which are the hydrogens, would form a bond with Cl, and this is how dissolving basically happens. This is what dissolving is. And H2O has a relatively high heat capacity, and it buffers changes in temperatures. So the H2O molecule requires a lot of energy to change temperature. This is why H2O, for example, is used in water baths, because it keeps that temperature constant. It prevents any sudden changes in temperature from occurring, and that's why it's a good buffer. And water also has a relatively large latent heat of vaporization, so it provides a cooling effect. So for example, when we are sweating, this is preventing us from overheating, so it just helps to helps us to cool down, so our enzymes can continue to work in the optimum temperature. And it also has a strong cohesion between the water molecules, and this supports column of water and produces surface tension. So looking at structure, so water molecule doesn't just travel alone, so it travels as a column of water. So that column is formed because of these hydrogen bonds. So these are all hydrogen bonds, and this forms a column. So when water is traveling, it travels as a column rather than traveling by itself. So these are the properties of water. Make sure you learn them really well. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you did like this video, don't forget to subscribe to see more of these, and you can watch my recent videos by clicking on the links popping up. Thank you.